Hi, I'm Brian, and today we're going to be talking about Martin Wagner's Hepcats, #1.
Classic issue.
This is Alex.
Yep. I'm the Hepcat fan.
He is. I honestly, before you told me about it, I feel like I must have known about it to some degree because I'm a big Cerebus fan, but I didn't get into Cerebus until around 2002, which was after it was already over. So maybe this is around the time where I stopped going to comic shops. So it might have been under my radar. And the comic shop that I went to, they had like some indie stuff, but I don't think they probably, they didn't have like Love and Rockets.
Oh.
They probably did have Cerebus, but at that time, at the height of its powers, it was like selling 100,000 books. So
Yeah.
even places that weren't indie still had Cerebus. So.
And I was about 3 years old when this issue came out.
Yeah,
I bought this way after the fact.
Yeah.
They talked about it a bit on a Cartoonist Kayfabe.
Yeah.
And I thought it sounded so ridiculous, like the title, the characters, all this stuff. And I was like, well, man, I got to find this. So I went on eBay, and I probably paid a bit too much for all 13 issues, but here we are.
Yeah,
it was worth it.
And it is worth mentioning, this is the reprint that it was truly self-published and everything, and he was doing the Spirits of Independence tours with Dave Sim and all that.
We'll be getting into
years
that.
Before that, yeah.
Yeah, we'll be getting into the Dave
Everything.
Sim stuff.
Yeah, everything. Getting into everything.
Yeah.
So I would suggest, if you're going to read Hepcats, start with issue 1, not issue 0.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit in this
Right,
episode.
Let's go ahead and get in. It's Christmas at Ground Zero.
Yeah. What a serendipitous thing to talk about. But yeah, we were talking about here. And this was originally printed by Double Diamond Press, which is what Martin Wagner did. And then stuff happened that he talks about, and it only lasts about 12 issues. But then Antarctic Press, comes to the rescue and says, "Hey, we dig this. Let's redo it. We think this is a license to print money."
Yeah.
So
he
did it.
And under the promise that he was going to continue the series.
Oh yes,
Spoilers.
There were a lot of promises that Wagner made that.
I believe he goes ahead and he makes them right here.
He makes promises all over this issue that, spoiler alert, he will keep none of them.
Pretty much.
But what you were saying about like the self-publishing, he goes into detail about it, and we've already been making jokes about him. He's a pretty memeable guy, I think.
Yeah.
But he does deserve a lot of respect or kudos.
Yeah.
Because like he put
Look at this. Look at it. It's beautiful.
Well, I'm also talking about like the business aspect of it, because he put his own money into it.
Yeah.
Like he put all of his money that he was using to like do Double Diamond Press, and he was self-funding everything.
He was going into massive debt because he believed in his project.
In his Hepcats.
Yeah. Which that's admirable.
I will say all the jokes that if we make about this guy, I do have respect for his hustle, and I have respect for his like commitment to an extent.
I have respect to the commitment that he made, but I have where I lose a little bit of respect is that he broke his promises.
No, yeah.
But anyway, all right. Okay. So you mentioned here. Are we ready to go on the page 1?
Oh yeah, let's go. Let's rock and roll.
All right. So where is this? You told me.
Oh, this is UT Texas, University of Texas.
And why is
Hook 'em horns? Let's go.
What's this watchtower known for?
One of the largest mass shootings in American history, and it's just. I will say, I listened to a podcast that talked about it before I reread this issue. So when I opened it up, I saw that and I was like, man, that.
Yeah, and this angle even is from the watchtower.
Yeah.
So you're like, wait, is this gonna be the shooting?
Yeah, but I will say real quick, he talks about in the preface, he said he would never ever draw the UT Tower because he did it for the collegiate strip version of Hepcats. Mm-hmm. And he was like, well, I guess I have to do it to do the cinematic open. So he like did like weird angles of it, and he did like the stylized like blacked out version, which is cool.
Yeah.
It's neat.
And you definitely like. I know you aren't as into Cerebus as me, but this is definitely it's so Cerebus influenced. Like, like this looks like it could be Dave Sims lettering.
Yes.
You know, I mean,
yes.
Which
it
is a
makes
compliment
sense.
also because like saying you're mimicking the best letterer to exist so far.
Yeah.
So, you know, like,
and he talks about in that forward, he talks about the Dave Sim influence and how he was like buddies with him and stuff like that. So definitely wears his influence on his sleeve. And now we have like the college stuff. He's just here. This is Joey. He's one of the main Hepcats. He's just vibing in class, you know. Very reminiscent of me in college. Trying to stay awake.
And at times it gets text heavy, but he like I didn't remember because I just read the whole thing more or less in one swoop. I didn't remember there being this much silent stuff early on.
Yeah, it's like half the issue.
Yeah. But his drawing is good.
Yeah.
And you know, I think you go into it and you're like, oh, it's going to be a funny animals book, and it is not funny.
No, there's some humor, but it's definitely a drama.
And so this is if you're wondering what's on college guys' minds when they're looking over at you when you're in the same seminar, this is pretty much it.
Yeah. Well, Wagner talks about that in the forward. He was like, he wanted to show like what the average college guy thinks about, like what is on his mind.
Yeah, how despicable. And this line work, it's like, oh, is that Gerhard aching for him?
Exactly. It is so good.
Yeah.
I don't think I've looked at a wall as much as I have on that page.
These are,
you know?
And it's like, you know, the guy, he's imagining that he's the superhero or what have you, which is...
But that's it. But that's like everybody all guys fantasize is about like saving the princess, you know? Yeah. And look at Joey, he's like all ripped and stuff. And of course he is not that, like he is like kind of portrayed as like a stick.
I wonder, I feel like this is a Cerebus reference for sure, that this guy is, you know, part pig, you know.
Kind of looks like a bad guy from like the 90s PlayStation game, like Tomba.
Yeah.
You know Tomba?
No, not really. Just by name, but you know.
Yeah, it kind of looks like the bad guys. The bad guys are like big warthog dudes. Yeah.
And there it is. He gets to save the princess, and like basically there's no words really yet. We don't even know this guy's name yet. Really.
Do you think that this whole thing is like an homage to Cerebus?
This scene,
like this whole like mini wordless story, because it's like the medieval time. It's like that type of times, and like he's fighting bad guys, saving the girl.
Yeah. This definitely is an homage to stuff in the first 25 issues.
Like the Conan Cerebus era.
Yeah, that first 25 issues, which is amazing. Sorry that you didn't start there. Might have read more if you hadn't started in all the political stuff. It's hard.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, I mean, and then it's like it comes back to reality. And this panel here is cool because, you know, he's doing some stuff that's kind of just in general photorealistic, but here he's getting Bigfoot on us. Which it's cool to see that, you know, he's got these photorealistic chairs. He's got this weird dude, and then here it's like, you know, Looney Tunes.
Yeah. I mean, look at how detailed the seats are. Like it is every single. And one of the things that comes up with this comic,
I can't tell if this is the, you know, the tape stuff that has the Zipatone. It doesn't look. I don't think this is Zipatone. Yeah. I think this is pointillism. But I could be wrong. The same over here. Like, I feel like this has to be Zipatone. There's no way somebody would do this much. But at the same time, I could see this guy doing it.
But there's when you go and you kind of read some reviews of this book, like the Tom Palmer, the guy from Wizard, he reviewed this and he talked about it. He talked about one of the issues with this book was just that, like, he was so detailed with it took him so long to do anything. So I don't know. I can go both ways because like he kind of seems crazy enough to sit there and like do all that.
Yeah, because I mean, I just feel it feels like these aren't quite uniform enough.
Yeah.
To be the Zipatone.
But okay, here's what we could do. Like, what would Dave? I feel like when he did this comic, he was thinking to himself like, what would Sim do?
Well, Sim uses Zipatone.
Okay. Oh. Okay.
But at the same time, I don't know how informed this guy is, because it used to be there were more secrets about the cartooning than there are now.
Yeah.
And just the ability to find Zipatone was, you just couldn't find it. So that's why I feel like, like, and he's pretty damn young when he's doing this.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm good.
Yeah. And now we have the word story. So it's like this comic is almost two completely different issues. Kind of.
That short was great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I wonder if he made that short separate, and then he was like, I really like this thing that I did. Maybe I can put it into this narrative somehow, by making a dream sequence.
Yeah, I guess. I think so, because that could be it. But he also says he tries in the beginning, he tried to use this issue as like a way to introduce who these characters are. Mm-hmm. And that's like kind of a funny way, like it's a good way to get across like he is like this just like college guy.
Yeah.
Like that is a good way to do that.
Yeah.
And now we have we find out his name's Joey McLion. We'll figure that out later. This is his best friend, his roommate, Gunther the Rhino, my main man.
Yeah. Who actually is muscular.
Well, we'll get into that. Yeah, so Gunther's like, Wagner tries to get across that he's like the more like responsible one.
Yeah.
He's like, but he talks about like borderline cheating on his exam. So I don't know.
Yeah.
And Joey forgets to pay his rent. He forgets to give the guy his rent check.
Yeah.
But they say, you know what? Gunther's like, hey, I got a good test. We're going out to the bar.
Just watching the countdown.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're at the bar, chilling.
Yeah. Yeah. Great bricks again.
Yeah. This dude, if he just drew a comic of bricks, he'd still be making them.
Yeah. Well, maybe not, because he might have ran into the same problem with not having high enough sales.
Yeah.
To justify that.
But I guess like story wise, this is like, I think the wheels start to wobble a little bit pretty quickly, because it's like he's trying to get across that these are best friends, like they've got each other's back, and it's just kind of Gunther kind of like reaming him. He's telling him like, you need to get out of self-pity trip a lot, and he's like, I'm having such a crappy day. Oh, Gunther, I can't seem to meet any girls, man. Like kind of making fun of him. And they're playing pool. All of a sudden, Joey hits it. Bam! Just gives the dude a concussion. He's just enjoying arcades, man. Gets hit with that. And this is one of my big, like, issues maybe with this story. Mm-hmm. Is, like, they're best friends. And I don't know if this has ever been established in the Hepcats lore, but, like, are these just humans who look like animals, or are they actually like the animals they are? Because why would Gunther, like, that happens, this dude's pissed off.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, look at that face. That's an awesome face.
It is.
But Gunther just says, like, okay, bye.
Yeah,
I'm going to the bathroom, like, see ya. So, like, is this, like, he's just leaving his feline best friend to, like, fight a dog, like, to deal with that?
I mean, I think that to me, what it seems like is going on based on friendships that I've had or whatever is, like, this is not the first time that this guy has done something
like that,
idiotic thing. And in a way, almost expecting, Gunther will, whatever I do wrong,
Gunther will help me. Yeah.
Gunther will help me out. And Gunther's like, dude, I just had a hard day. I can't deal with this bullshit right now. You fucking didn't even pay the rent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Now you want me to fight this guy?
Yeah. So,
but I did think you could have had like a funny panel where it's like, dude gets hit, he's upset, and then you could have like Joey kind of hiding behind Gunther, And then Gunther being like, I gotta go to the bathroom, and like walks away, and you see Joey like from behind him, and he's like all scared.
Yeah.
But he ends up giving the guy like a bunch of money, so it's all good.
Yeah.
Money really does make the world
rent
go
money,
round.
right?
Yeah. And now he's back because he's just kind of there studying, and he's really caught up on Gunther, like kind of calling him out for being like self-loathing and kind of pitiful, and like he can't talk to girls, and he's trying to prove him wrong, but he doesn't.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like a couple issues later, the series really gets better.
But also, like, look at the trees.
I know, right?
The trees are cool.
Yeah, his art's great.
It's beautiful. And then it ends.
And then it's already done, and it's like we haven't even done any of the things that hint at where the series is going, which, I guess that's fine.
Yeah, but I think my biggest issue with like the narrative that they give us is like it's nothing. Like it's just like we're just following these events, but there's no like real connective like narrative issue. You know what I mean? Tissue to it. Like I was thinking about it, and I think what would have made this a lot better is like you take that girl from the beginning, and then like you put her in the bar somewhere. Like maybe she's like getting creeped on by the dude who he hits in the back of the head.
Oh, like he intentionally.
Yeah, or by accident, but he still helps her out. And then he's like, "Oh, I should go talk to her," but then like the dude's all pissed off. And then like he's at the park, and maybe like she can pop up. Like you bring her through like each stage of the comic. The kind of
So
like
she should have appeared one more time.
yeah, like maybe have him be like, you know what? I'm not gonna be pity. Like I'm self-pitying and all that stuff. I'm just gonna go do it. And then like he sees the girl who he's been seeing like throughout the whole day, and he goes and talks to her.
It is funny how like college dudes are so obsessed with needing a lady.
Yeah,
Like it's not really gonna help.
anything.
Yeah, I mean, like I understand they think the only thing missing in my life is a lady.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, that's really not true. The only thing missing in your life is a sense is you having any idea what you want to do.
I feel like that applies to men of all ages. You know?
Yeah, probably.
Like Dave Sim.
Yeah, he knows what he wants to do.
We don't need to talk about Dave Sim about that right now.
But yeah, so I mean,
Ooh, there's some stuff in the.
Okay.
So I don't know about you. Well, I do, but I love letter pages.
yeah, they're great.
It's such an interesting like time capsule of like.
Yeah, that's one of the problems I have with trade paperbacks in general is they always cut out the letters page, and I understand reasonings why, but it also like it gives you some context that you wouldn't have like.
Yeah. And I love seeing like the contemporary thoughts. Like, quick side note, if you read the letter pages of Batman Year One by Frank Miller, people hate that book.
I know.
People hate it. There are people saying that they're gonna
you don't
stop.
find out until like issue 3 because it takes a while for the letters
and like
to come in.
you'll see letters of people being like, "I'm not reading Batman anymore. I'm going to Spider-Man. Like, I hate this." And it's like nowadays that's like continuously a bestseller. The general consensus is they love Hepcats.
They hate color.
Yes, they hate Hepcat Zero. They hate everything that has to do with it. But they love the story. They hate all the coloring in it, and it is horrific if you look at it.
Yeah.
I also another thing that stood out to me was like the Spawn reference and how he hates Spawn. He's like, some books don't need to rely on color and artwork, but you guys don't, unlike Spawn.
Yeah, and it is interesting that like he's willing to print these letters that are not flattering about issue. Like some of them are, but some of them are not that flattering about issue 0.
I mean, who would like issue 0?
Yeah, but I'm sure there's somebody that wrote and was like,
yeah, that is true. I do have respect for that, Okay, now Brian, I have a question for you.
yeah.
Would you want to be in the Hepcat Mall? Would you want to sell? If you were in 1996,
And I had an indie comic shop.
Yeah,
Would I want to be one of these 6 that bothers to be?
Yes.
I think I would, despite the fact that I don't think I know any of these shops.
Some of them are still open.
Yeah.
I looked up some of them. And
because I know in some of the later issues, like Laughing Ogre is in there.
Okay.
But yeah, these ones in this issue. Do you know this? Do you know this one, Comic Swap in Pennsylvania?
I do not. I looked it up. It's like,
is it still around?
Yeah, that one's still around. It's pretty cool to see. But I do think it's funny that you have to contact Martin himself, and not
and it says
not
here,
NR. Do
NR.
not contact us. Pretty funny.
Yeah.
Also, I just like seeing like these like cool like unique.
Yeah, business cards have become so stagnant.
But then you have this dude that's straight out of American Psycho. You know what I mean? Yeah. You could just see Patrick Bateman showing that one off.
Here's the answer. There we go.
Yeah.
We're in it. We're in it.
Oh,
the
Hepcats
only color
Mall.
part. The only color part of the issue.
Dang.
Right there in the Hepcats Mall.
But that did kind of stand out to me. The Matt's Cavalcade. Come on, what are you doing? Like.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we are, Way of the World. So it's kind of tough to read. This was kind of like a bad design, like the white on gray. I found it was like a little weird.
Yeah, he should have. So right here, you see he's doing this trick with the 2 colors, and he should have been doing that on this part too.
Yes.
But graphic design was not as easy back then as it is today.
Yeah.
And you know, it looked like, he was doing a lot of the other stuff by hand. This is clearly using PageMaker, or I assume either PageMaker or maybe Illustrator.
Yeah.
But I think PageMaker, because I think Illustrator it would be easier to do that trick. This looks like PageMaker to me.
Yeah. Now, this is very interesting because this is what we were talking about at the beginning, where he kind of starts reneging on some of his promises almost immediately. And this is like the beginning of that, where he says, Way of the World is supposed to be the beginning of a brand new story arc.
Yeah.
And it's issues 1 through 12. He's doing 4 pages of brand new material. But the thing is...
Which doesn't sound that amazing to do 4 pages a month.
But he's also working on finishing up the original run storyline. So he's...
Or is he?
Well, we don't know that yet. Well, we don't know. We're not that far along in the Hepcats journey to figure that out. So if you think about it, he is doing a ton of work right now. Like, he's theoretically working on more issues to finish off what he started.
And it is worth pointing out, he did design this page right here.
Oh, yeah. That took him like 5 days.
Yeah, that took a good part of the month right there.
Yeah, and so he's working. He has like a lot of irons in the fire right now. But the thing that really stood out to me, that dropped my jaw, 700 pages.
Yeah.
When he's done, he wants 700 pages of brand new Hepcat material.
Well, and that's after completing completing Snowblind. Which, so he's like basically like, here he is, and he's basically telling you, all right, I'm planning on 1,000. I've got the next 1,000 pages of Hepcat
completely. Completely planned.
Which is totally a Dave Sim.
I was just about to bring it up. That's more Dave Sim.
Dave Sim delivers.
Yeah, he did it. Well, we don't know. Again, we don't know that yet.
What, we don't know that Dave Sim delivers?
Well, we don't know that Wagner is selling us.
Wagner does not deliver.
We don't know that he's like a snake oil salesman in a way. But that 700, I was.
This, like, to me, like, this is so ambitious to say that.
Yeah.
And as somebody that has made some comics and has, like, gotten the fire and been like, I can do this, I can pull it off, like, so, the comics that I do, they're basically like the equivalent of, they're 24 to 48 panel comics. And so I would, I had a goal one year. I was like, I'm going to try and do 100 of them this year. And I think that year I did end up doing 30. But if you don't like if you don't tell yourself I'm gonna do
Yeah, you
this
have to
monstrous,
yeah.
huge thing,
Yeah.
you're not gonna do anything at all.
Yeah.
So I actually, even though it's not true, he didn't even complete the main story arc of the book. But I really like this Way of the World.
I do too.
I think Way of the World was probably going to be superior to Snowblind.
Oh, I agree 100%.
And I love the idea that like presumably Snowblind was going to end wherever it was going to end.
And then bam.
Yeah. It's 10 years later.
Yeah.
And you don't really know exactly what happened.
Yeah.
You just know like, hi, I'm Joey. I'm a loser again.
Yeah.
Basically.
And I thought this was so interesting because like I'm around the same age as Joey is in this comic. Mm-hmm. And I think Martin does a really good job of like examining how it feels to like turn 30, like be in your 30s, you know, and you're just like, man, am I doing the right thing with my life?
I think that's probably like true with him also.
Yeah.
Like, so he's like coming back to comics after basically 4 years, maybe, of not working. Well, no, because he was putting those out pretty steady, I guess.
Hepcats.
Yeah.
He was doing like 2-3 a year, apparently.
Yeah, I know, but I mean like consistently. Like I don't know exactly how long it is between the reprint and issue 12 coming out, but it feels like it's probably not like he stepped away for 5 years. Or anything, yeah. So, but like I think it's him. Like, okay, I'm really gonna revisit.
Yeah.
What would this character be like? Like I started this character and telling this story about him at 23 when I was 23, but now I'm 33.
Yeah, like what am I doing?
How do I make him relatable to me today and tell a story that I'm interested in telling?
And we're gonna see a lot of Wagner and Joey in a couple pages.
Oh, we're gonna see a lot of Wagner. I mean, that's the whole premise of the whole series, I guess.
Well, I'll explain.
It's not even veiled autobiography, I don't think.
Well, there's a part in here that's kind of
Yeah.
that really catches my eye. And yeah, he's just like kind of just like writing. It's just like self-reflection. He's in I think he's in a hotel room drinking a beer, no shirt on, writing.
I do think so. You'll see there aren't the bricks and everything in the background. I think he's taking a couple shortcuts here.
Yeah.
Which during this era of Cerebus, you also occasionally see them like saying, "Okay, we're going to be putting this book out this much. We're going to be making all these public appearances. Mm-hmm. What corners can we cut so we can still get it out on time?"
But it still looks good.
Oh, it looks great.
It's still so good.
Is great.
I like the like. I think it's like
space.
Yeah, it's very stylized. You know, like it's really cool.
And he is not doing hand lettering anymore on this.
Yeah,
I don't know if any of this has hand lettering, but it works.
Yeah, because you can imagine that this is like the computer, like this is what he's writing. Yeah. So it makes sense that it wouldn't be his own handwriting on it.
Yeah.
And what I was saying earlier about this is Wagner. Where is it? It's like right here. Mm-hmm. It completely changes from like Joey McLion to Wagner because he's talking about like the year 2000 and Y2K, and he's like, people are going to get upset that Jesus isn't going to be here when it hits 2000. And where is it? If they want to get to heaven so bad, why don't they just shoot themselves?
So you're saying that's Wagner and not Wagner as McLion.
That I don't know if
I do feel like this version of McLion is way smarter than he is.
Maybe more like
in the Hepcats.
More like disillusioned by the world, but that line, like Joey's like kind of like a funny, goofy dude, like, and now he's saying like, I think people should go do that, like, but Martin Wagner, he is like a very, very hardcore atheist, and that's why like he was on like a atheist podcast as a contributor for like 16 years.
Yeah.
So knowing that and then reading it, I was like, man, that really just seems like Wagner was like really upset that day when he was writing it. Like,
yeah,
like a dude with like a cross on his car cut him off in traffic going home.
Yeah,
he was like, ah.
And this also, like those bricks early on, like this is not as detailed. You know,
I mean, you still have that. You still have like that, and that makes sense because like the sun comes down.
Yeah, it's fine, but I mean, like those early pages were just
Immaculate.
like this guy.
Yeah.
This guy is giving his all.
Yeah.
This is like, okay, so I've learned what's worth my time and what's not worth my time.
Yeah, doing fine details on a classroom chair is not worth hours of my life.
Yeah, probably days.
Yes, days of my life. Yeah. And it really just kind of ends like him contemplating, like, I need to figure out something a little bit different.
Yeah. I mean, this is very relatable, I think, to any dude that's gotten to the point where they realize chasing ladies isn't everything.
Yeah.
And like I say, like this part, The Way of the World, I'd be more interested in him finishing that than Snowblind.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But maybe that's maybe if I was 21,
yeah,
I would be more interested in him finishing Snowblind.
Yeah. Because, like, I agree. Because, like, you're older than I am. And, like, I'm kind of in this age bracket right now. And rereading it really kind of hit differently for me. Because, like, it's natural. Like, when you're in your early 30s, you're, like, you're not old. You're not young. And, like, you kind of need to figure out, like, is this the lot you want? Because, like, if I want to change it, I have to, like, do it now. Because it'll be a lot harder if I'm, like, older.
Yeah, 40s, and
50s,
I do feel there's a thing where there's a lot of artists and a lot of stories about like people in their early 20s doing things. There aren't a lot of great stories about people in their early to mid 30s doing things. And so just to me that makes that more interesting, just that it's kind of an unexplored territory.
Yeah.
I do want to mention the CD that he did. It doesn't list the artist in this ad, but I actually like know some of the artists that have appeared on there. Like I've appeared on compilations with some of them and stuff. Like, so this was like, I toured.
You need to reach out, see if you can get like an autographed copy.
I mean,
Radio Hepcats.
It's been a while, but like, I probably saw this on merch tables with bands I was playing with, and I didn't even realize it at the time.
Top 10 regrets.
I mean, it's kind of funny, and a lot of the bands were associated with this Bedazzled Records, which was out of DC, which I found interesting because I was like, because he's in Texas or whatever, so I wonder
he's still in Texas.
I wonder how that got connected, how he got connected with the Bedazzled people, but you know, it's interesting, and I'd, you know, I mean, and I appear on a compilation that's similar to that for this comic that was called Caffeinated, and probably like somebody somewhere has that CD, and they're like, why the hell did that guy all the way over there appear on it? And it's like, what the person that wrote some of the dialoguing for it was somebody I was friends with, and they're like, hey, you should do this thing. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll spend an afternoon doing a thing.
Yeah. And I just think it's kind of interesting that he had like graphic novels of Snowblind.
Of the part one.
Yeah, we didn't really touch on it a whole lot, but Snowblind is 2 parts. It's supposed to be issues 3 through 18.
Oh, total?
Yeah,
so
total.
3 through 10 and then 11 through 18?
Yeah, so, okay. And that's, theoretically, that's what he wants to be working on while these are being reprinted, while he's also doing Way of the World. So from what he talks about, he's kind of working on like 2 completely different series, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and so but issue 12 was already done before the first issue of the reprints came out, I think. I'm under that impression.
Yeah, well, that's part of the reprint.
Yeah. But so like, it wasn't like he had already done 10 and then he does 11 and 12.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And I mean, I do think he thought like, if these reprints had been making him enough money that he didn't need to make money anywhere else, he would have been able to.
He thought it was going to be Hepcat Mania.
Yeah, I mean, like because when you're indie, your ability to get distribution is really hard.
Yeah, he talks about that.
Yeah,
quite a bit.
Yeah, and which is really interesting. And like even having those the letters to the public like that, that's totally a Dave Sim lift. Which once again, like you're lifting from the best.
Yeah, there is so much Dave Sim DNA in Hepcats.
Yeah. I mean, and it's like
without the work ethic.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. That might not be fair to say, but
I mean, he has given it his all. I mean, I couldn't do this.
Yeah. Same.
It would be really cool to see the original art, I think, too, and see how much he's really, how much is he drawing in one thing? How much paste up is there? Because I think he's doing a lot of work that you don't get to see on this page, getting ready to do it.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was doing the weekly strip. It was weekly, right? What he was doing before?
The Collegiate Hepcats was like a weekly comic
weekly
strip,
gag strip kind of thing. So I mean, he did have some practice, and I mean, I assume he went to college for graphic design.
Mm-hmm. I would assume so.
Or possibly fine arts, or possibly both. And yeah, I mean, like, if you had not, if I had just read issue 0 and you hadn't been like, no, you got to read this whole thing, there is no possibility I would have continued after issue 0.
Yeah. I mean, even just looking at this number 1, you can see the color just like does not work. Like, I do not think this is a very like appealing issue cover. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, it would have been like this. If either of these parts were in black and white, I think it would work better. Like either his imagination's in black and white, or his imagination's in color and his reality's in black and white.
I think that would be it.
Yeah, it could go either way.
Yeah,
whichever way you want. But I mean, like, or even like, really up the contrast on this color palette for the dream sequence, so they aren't
the same.
Yeah. But I mean, once again, like, I mean, he's doing it.
Yeah.
All kudos to this guy for doing it, so.
Yeah.
So many people have ideas, and then they don't, like, he put his money where his mouth is.
Yeah.
He
also used a lot of other people's money where his mouth is. But we can
that isn't until like 30 years after.
Yeah, that's true. That's a very far in the future, and we'll get to that.
Yeah, but yeah, like, it is, if you are a fan of Cerebus, I think you really should, like, instead of doing your 4th reread of Cerebus, you should give Hepcats a
I agree.
a shot.
I when I bought this, I was just expecting it to be like kind of like a stupid, ridiculous like type of story, but it's serious. It is not for like.
You thought it would be more Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be more like this issue, but it completely changes, and you really get like an interesting comic with like interesting themes.
I'll be honest, the thing that pulled me in after reading this issue was the Way of the World stuff. Like the first part, it's fine. I feel like it's a typical thing that you would read written by a 23-year-old.
Yeah.
And then the back matter, it's like this leveled up. Like he leveled up somewhere along the way. I want to watch the process of this guy getting better.
I think the change in dialogue, like his writing, changed and evolved so much to the point where I feel the same way as like I want Way of the World. I want that 700-page tome of Hepcats.
Yeah.
I want it.
Yeah.
So,
and I don't think like his drawing is pretty much fully evolved from this first issue.
Yeah.
But then what's weird is that Hepcats 0 presumably
it's so
drawn
bad.
After,
it's so bad.
It's like, did he just rush through it? I don't know what was going on.
Yeah.
it almost felt like he was like, okay, I'm gonna get maybe like maybe he like hired somebody else to do it. Like maybe he did the pencils and he because in this era, so much stuff people were hiring out.
It's been so long since I've looked at like the finer details of Zero, so I'd have to check to see who did what on it.
Yeah, and I mean, like I say, I mean, like it's and there's nothing wrong with issue 0 per se. I just don't like it.
Yeah. Okay, now I have a question for you, Brian.
Yeah.
1996.
Yeah.
You're in your indie comic shop. You see this on the racks. You buy it. Are you buying issue 2?
Oh, if I bought this and I read this with it having the back matter,
Well, this exact issue you bought.
yeah, I would. Yeah. I would buy issue 2. But let me tell you, 1996. I don't think I would buy this off the rack because, like you said, I would see this and I would be like, "Oh, this is one of those stupid, funny animal books."
Oh yeah, okay.
So I would the first issue never would have come home with me.
Yeah.
At that time, 1996, on the indie rack, I'm buying Scud.
Yeah.
I'm buying Vertigo is going full force at that point.
Yeah.
I'm buying Vertigo. I'm buying Scud. Is Sin City out? Probably.
Ooh. Probably. I think so.
Yeah. I mean, he's not just, obviously he's going up against all the
Heavy
Marvel
hitters, yeah.
Marvel and DC stuff. He's also going up against the heavy hitters in the indies at that time.
Was that Sandman?
Yeah.
Was that 96?
Sandman's still going in 96. Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I mean, so
Preacher. Is that
Preacher's probably started already?
I think that's 96, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Preacher's probably already started. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Kabuki's going probably
I love
at that time.
I love Kabuki real quick. Incredible.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a murderer's row of indie competition of like
Concrete,
well maybe not. I was gonna say
might be going still at that point.
I think that's like the weaker Concrete maybe.
Yeah, it gets weaker as it goes on.
Yeah, I love Concrete.
It's still
as
good.
well.
It's still great.
Oh yeah.
I mean, but like we're saying, I mean, like there's a lot of good indie stuff going.
Yeah.
The Crow. The Crow, the movie had just come out, and there's
the resurgence of Crow.
Crow. Yeah, I mean, like, because the Crow movie comes out in '95, right?
That sounds right. About that time.
Yeah, I mean, so there's a lot of cool possibilities.
Non-Marvel DC stuff coming out.
Yeah, and Image the Max is fucking hot as hell in 1996.
When does the cartoon come out?
95.
Oh yeah, got the Max then.
Yeah, I mean, so it's like there's nothing else on Image that like is like
Shadowhawk.
What Shaman's Tears.
Yeah, Shaman's Tears. Yeah, how can you compete when you have Shaman's Tears?
But like this is,
it's so weird.
Yeah, like I mean, like, and this would be, and so this is being published by Antarctic Press, which is like a American manga. Imprint.
Yeah.
So I don't think this is really a good match for publishing him.
No, no, not at all.
Like I feel like it having the Antarctic Press logo on there.
But who would?
To me, that makes me even more think it's going to be Funny Animals.
Yeah, but who, like, could you see this on, like, Dark Horse? You know, like, I feel like...
Maybe?
Dark Horse, like, it's not going to be Image, it's not going to be Vertigo.
It's not going to be Image or Vertigo, I agree with that. I mean, ideally, it would be Aardvark Vanaheim, but Aardvark Vanaheim is exclusively Cerebus, I believe, at that point.
That would be... Well, I think we mentioned it, he advertised in Cerebus.
I think there's an issue of Cerebus that Dave Sim, like, prints, like, a short in or something.
Yeah.
Like, he really tried to help out like-minded creators. You know?
That would have been perfect.
That would have been perfect. I think Dark Horse could have worked.
Cause like Dark Horse,
you got Concrete.
I was gonna say they have the like
you
highly
got Usagi.
Yeah,
you
have like the high conceptual like
you got Grendel,
the stuff. Yeah, his cousin.
Yeah, he's not really his
No,
cousin.
no relation that I know of. But yeah, because it's like this highly weird thing. Like we have like sentient animals, but they're like, it's not like,
Fantagraphics.
ooh, yeah, yeah, that could work.
Yeah, because this is the era maybe when Fantagraphics is doing that Critters comic,
Yeah.
the much derided Critters.
What's his
comic.
name? Gary Groff or something? Do you think
Yeah.
he would be in the Hepcats?
I think he would.
Now that I'm thinking about it a little bit, Fantagraphics does seem like a good fit.
Yeah, and you know what though? My memory is you see Antarctic Press in comic shops. Fantagraphics had very little penetration in comic shops in my
Yeah.
memory.
I don't think I've ever really seen a Fantagraphic comic. Very
Red Room.
and Red Room.
I mean, allegedly Red Room is the most printed Fantagraphics floppy comic book of all time.
Yeah.
I believe that to be the case.
Yeah.
Um,
I like Love and Rockets. It's good.
Yeah.
But I never see it anywhere.
Yeah, I mean it's funny, their motto is home to the best cartoonist or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, it's true. But you know what isn't home to the best cartoonist? The comic shop.
Yeah.
I'm trying to fight it. I'm trying to have, and I have a lot of friends that have comic shops. I have a little comic shop, and it's like you put the good stuff in, but it does sit there and it rots. And you got to decide: are you doing this? Do you want a hobby and museum, or are you gonna actually
Make money?
Yeah. And so I don't fault anybody that doesn't stock Fantagraphics.
Yeah.
I don't think that, if your shop is in business, if your shop's been in business for 4 or 5 years, by definition, you're a good shop for where you are.
Yeah.
You might not be the shop that I like.
Yeah.
And every shop doesn't need to be a shop that I like.
Yeah.
But I did decide personally that I want my shop to be a shop that I like.
Yeah.
And, people appreciate it. I had a guy that drove down 90 minutes to come to my shop today.
Yeah.
And he's like, I heard you moved and reopened, and I want to, and you're getting all these good reviews since you moved, and I wanted to come and check it out. And, he bought $150 or whatever of all the stuff that you want.
Yeah.
Well, not exactly, but I mean, it was all indie horror stuff.
Yeah.
And guess what? He bought the Tracy Lords comic.
No way.
He did.
That was gonna be the first episode that we did. Legend.
His wife actually bought it.
Legend.
Yeah. I mean, and it was.
Yeah, it's a weird fine line, because I like Fantagraphics. If I see Love and Rockets in the wild, I'm snatching it up.
Yeah.
I went to the Raleigh Comic-Con a while back. There was one stand that had maybe 10 long boxes of just weird indie stuff. And I was there for maybe 30, 40 minutes, just looking through everything, maybe even an hour. And almost people would just come, look at 3 books, and they would just leave. And I had a huge pile of stuff. And there was 8-Ball. I bought a lot of Fantagraphics, the Hernandez brothers stuff.
Yeah.
But it's that stuff just doesn't move, but it's so good and it's so interesting and it's important. Good art is important even if it doesn't sell.
Yeah. And that's when I was doing the record label, it was the same thing. It's do I put out a record because I think it can move, or do I put out a record because I personally
think it's important
and I want to get behind it and I want to help this thing? And it's a fine line.
Yeah. It really is. Yeah.
Where do you go with it? And I'm well, I'll just go with it.
Yeah.
And whatever happens, and I'm funny things that okay, so it's Christmassy. Imagine it's Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
This lady walks in, she goes, I need help. So my line is, let me know if I can help you with anything in particular. Everybody that walks in the shop. And this lady's I need some help. I need to buy a comic for a 10-year-old that I don't know very well. And I'm like, all right, well, tell me about this 10-year-old. So, like, I'm 10, I'm watching Dawn of the Dead. Other kids are 10, they're watching Barney. So which line is this kid at? And she's like, right in the middle.
Oh.
And I'm like, all right. So you gave me no information, basically.
Yeah.
And she's like, I know this. I want it to be something that he would like today, but that he might like revisit like when he's like 20 and still like it. And so what I gave them.
Oh wait, no,
okay. You go ahead and give your recommendation.
I want to guess. Okay. Right. My mind says Walking Dead.
No.
He's in the zombies like.
No, that was me that I would watch.
Well, she said he was in the middle.
Yeah.
He was in the middle.
Okay.
Walking Dead. I think. That was what jumped out at me at first. Because like, well, if you're 10, I don't know if I want a 10-year-old reading Walking Dead, but
yeah,
you could go back to it.
Yeah.
Like, what'd you give her?
I gave her a collection of, I think it was 10 stories by Stan Lee from the first 2 years of Marvel.
Ooh, interesting.
You're like, I want to read that book.
Yeah. I'd read that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I felt that was a good match. And then like 30 minutes after she leaves, I have this guy walk in. He's like, I'm looking for a comic for a friend of mine. He's 70 years old, and he fondly remembers reading comics as a child. And I'm like, damn it, I just sold the perfect book for this guy to this kid. And I knew I only had one copy. You know? Like, I don't have another copy. And so he was really into Archie, and I have a bunch of Archie books. So, he's like, he's into Archie, and he was into sci-fi. So I was like, oh, well, I have some reprints of some of the EC sci-fi stuff.
That's awesome stuff.
He didn't go for that. He bought like a 1979 Star Wars comic, like single issue, and like 2 single issues of Archie. But, it's cool.
Yeah, I went in, there was a new bookstore that opened up in town, and I went there with my girlfriend, and she was having the time of her life because it was very much, it's still in a soft opening stage. And
this is the Sips one?
Sips and sequels, yeah. And should we say that?
Yeah, sure.
Oh,
we did.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, it's not bad, but it was a cool store. It was really cool, really nice. But I was talking to the woman. I was like, "Hey, do you have like any comics, any graphic novels?" She was like, "No, we're thinking about it. They didn't really sell too well at some events." And she was like, "Do you have what do you like? What do you recommend?" And my mom was like, "Oh no." I was like,
I recommend all these things that
the
only
stuff
I will look at.
Yeah, the stuff I'm into. Like, I'm currently reading like the first volume of like Love and Rockets. No one buys Love and Rockets.
Yeah.
I'm finishing up Marv Wolfman, Gene Colon, their Blade omnibus. I was like, you can't put that in the store. Like, that's not gonna sell. And it's like all this stuff that I'm into is just like not particularly profitable.
Yeah, I mean.
So it's just kind of like, I can't in good conscience tell this woman that like, I like Fantagraphics comics, like I like Love and Rockets, like all this weird indie-rific stuff.
Yeah, and and it's not just like, I mean, we're in a part of the country where comics are not popular. Like the South has never been fully penetrated by comics the way you're from Pennsylvania.
Yep.
And there it's like,
oh yeah,
throw a rock, you hit a comic shop, But even there, you don't see the Fantagraphics in those stores.
Yeah.
It's really what's in a comic shop is similar here to there, which is kind of peculiar to me. You would think.
Well, you have to find the art. Like, and the world's always been like that. Like, you have to find the like difficult art. To consume.
And I mean, I have been in Portland. I went into a comic shop I went into multiple comic shops that had like one like that. Neither of these two shops had anything by Marvel or DC.
That's awesome.
And
it's a lot of fun.
One of them, like Fantagraphics, was too mainstream for them. You know, it was like almost everything was hand done Xerox stuff.
Yeah.
It was a comic shop that was like exclusively like mini comics Xerox stuff. I don't imagine that place could possibly support itself, but maybe it could in Portland. I don't really know.
I was Boone, North Carolina,
Yeah.
home of App State, the Mountaineers. Let's go. That's where I went.
Yosef.
Yep, B. Yosef. And it was this bookstore that me and my girlfriend found, but we had to walk through this like super indie-rific record store that was playing like weird jazz fusion, like avant-garde jazz music.
Was that Grapevine? Or no, Grapevine?
I don't even
gone.
know the name of it, but we had to walk through, and they had like all these books, and they had a thing of comics, and they had a ton of manga, which you can find manga everywhere. It's like more easily available.
I have
than
a story
comics.
for you after we finish this.
But in it, a shelf of all like translated foreign comics, and I found this like incredible French like cartoonist Chantal Montelier. I think it's like a collection of her work. It's incredible. You can never find it anywhere, but it's a very worthwhile book.
Yeah, so you know, people come in asking for manga. It's not my thing. It's a different distribution network, and I'm just like, I don't have the bandwidth to try and do it.
Yeah.
And I always recommend them to go to Anime Paradiso, about an hour from here.
Yeah.
And I hadn't been inside that shop in like 2 years, but I went in there with my kid this past week, and their manga, they went from being like 90% manga, 10% tchotchke to 10% manga, 90% tchotchke. Like they're like mainly selling like cosplay outfits and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh,
Yeah.
that's
what makes money.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
But then there's another thing that was interesting, which is right next to them, a new used bookstore opened up.
Ooh.
And so that's like, without me doing any research or looking into anything, that's like 4 new bookstores that I know of that have opened within the past 3 months within, 50 miles of us.
Yeah.
And that's crazy to me.
That's all. I love it, but it's kind of crazy. Yeah.
And I'm curious if, so you got the one that's also a tea shop, you got the one that's also a wine shop.
Yes.
You got this other one that I don't know if it even has an edge, and then this new one that I saw, their thing was they do like a lot of kids activities.
Yeah.
Which is also cool,
Yeah.
and it's like, it's going to be interesting seeing if actual indie bookstores coming back is so cool.
I love it. Yeah.
And I just hope that there's enough of a community that will support them being able to be in business, and I have no idea of the answer to that.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure my girlfriend is single-handedly keeping the one new bookstore in town afloat. She's there almost a couple times a week buying stuff,
which is great, but it's like you need 50 people doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, and then my fear with that is like those 2 shops are less than a mile apart.
Yeah.
And so, like that town. So there's 3 bookstores within a mile of each other there.
Yeah.
And, I fear that it'll be like what happened with Lillington. I don't know if you saw that thing happen with Lillington, where for a second they had 4 coffee shops that were open.
No, yeah.
And you're just like, this isn't going to work out.
Yeah.
So, anyway, Hepcats.
Yeah, a little detour about
life.
Yeah, about art and comics.
Hepcats. If you see it, buy it, I would say.
Oh, I would.
If you run into it in the wild, I would go ahead and get it.
Yep.
But I'm not sure that I would generally recommend go right now on eBay and pay whatever you have.
Yeah, don't do what I did. Yeah.
But definitely, like, it's worth checking out. I'm glad that you brought it for me.
Yeah.
And that,
I've gotten my money's worth out of it. I will say that.
Yeah. What? I don't even see where the cover price was on this. It's up here. It was $2.95.
Right.
It's still worth $2.95 today. I mean, I think,
I could buy this for $3, and I'd be okay.
Yeah.
I'd be fine.
I mean, we're like, a lot of books like this right now are $5. I think, yeah, it's worth $5.
Yeah, I'd have no problem.
All the issues except for issue 0 are worth $5.
I agree. Yep.
All right, thanks for listening to us, everybody.
Oh yeah,
all 2 of you.
Yeah.
We'll be back.
Oh yeah.